This is Ben, guys.
Go ahead.
Hand for Ben, please. How about it? Speaking of Ben, I also want to acknowledge the rest of our host crew this evening from City Winery, the wait staff and the bartenders. Please thank them with your tips. They do a fantastic job for me and who knew, and again, I couldn't do this without all their support, so thank you, City Winery. The sponsors I wanted to call out specifically by name. First Tennessee Bank is my primary sponsor. Andrew Kentz can't be here this evening, but he's here in spirit. Buffkin Baker, which is the search firm that I am a part of. We are a full-service retained search firm that serve all areas of commerce. I specialize in the entertainment field and the music industry in particular. We've got a lot of open jobs. Go to buffkinbaker.com and call me in particular if you're interested in jobs in the music industry. Dell Computer, Four Roses Bourbon I've already mentioned. Radio Lightning 100. They are my media sponsor. They are a tremendous partner. Really the best radio station in Nashville, except for one you're going to hear a little bit about tonight from Shannon Sanders. I'll just tease that for you. Go West Creative Group that handles a lot of the really cool effects on those screens. Thank you, David, and your team. Do 615, Kelsey DeWall, thank you for all your support of all my events. Already acknowledged OSA for these wonderful screens, and how about the timing of that logo appearing right at that moment, on cue, right on. Jamber Music, I'm now in sync. Thank you, Marcus, and your team's support. Anna Crucis, Liz Rogers is my musical director, and she's come through in high fashion tonight. Wait till you see the musical performance from Aura of Amara this evening. Jive Printing, Sign Me Up. MTSU's College of Media and Entertainment. And last but not least, I want to thank a dear friend of mine, Falia Ewing, the music queen. Cut my hand for the music queen. Where is the music queen? Without her, I promise you, tonight would not have happened. And Falia, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You are wonderful. So what is this event, and why is this so important? I've talked to a lot of you over the last couple of months about this event and why I wanted to do this event. If you've been to, you heard me say, this is our 19th event. If you've been to some of my events before, you know that we like to shine a light on people and companies that deserve recognition. Tonight is no exception. However, the slate of speakers that I'm featuring this evening really have not been, I think, properly recognized here in the Nashville music industry, and I'll cite two examples. There are two publications that I'm a loyal reader of and supporter of. One is Music Row magazine, which is the supposed definitive magazine of the Nashville music industry, not the country music industry, but the Nashville music industry. And they publish a list every year called In Charge. What In Charge is the supposed 400 or so leaders of the industry. These are the people that are in charge, cleverly named, right? Well, I was reviewing this list earlier this spring when it came out, and with Falia's help, I quickly realized that there was something really wrong with it. Out of 410 executives named in this year's In Charge list, how many of them are people of color? One? All right, you get free bourbon. One. Truly, a literal token. Happens to be Jackie Patillo, who's one of our speakers tonight. I'm so excited. However, out of 410, you're telling me that there's only one person of color that deserves to be on that list? The Nashville Business Journal very respected paper, one that I read every day. Many of you also do. They recently, 3 weeks ago, published a list of Women in Music City, which is the top 45 female music executives in Nashville. Same trivia question, how many women of color made that list? 45. 0. Are you freaking kidding me? 0? Not a single woman deserves to be on there? So, tonight... Thank you, but let me say one thing in their defense. Because I've reached out to both these publications, and one of the things that they claim is not enough people of color have applied or been nominated. So my question back to both of them was very simply, guys, as you're sitting around with your editorial staff, did it not occur to anyone to ask, there's something wrong with this list. Where are the African American executives? Where are the Hispanics? Where are the Asians? Where are anybody that doesn't look like me? And I don't know if anything's going to change, but by golly, I hope that coming out of this event tonight, something will change, and that is these publications and many others will take note of that omission, whether it's intentional or not, and do something about it. So. Enough pontification. The screen you see up here on either side is all about social media. I want you to tweet and share photos on Instagram and on Facebook this evening. If you like a quote that you've heard from one of the speakers, put it out there. You know, let's give recognition and acknowledgement to these people for the wisdom that they're going to share with you tonight. There's also a self-serving reason for being very active on social media tonight. If you've ever been to one of my events, you know that we like to give things away during the event itself. And that is tied to the people that we select based upon their activity on social media. So, tonight we're going to be giving away a couple of tickets that are rather pricey. They're 2 passes to the Music Business Association conference that takes place next spring. They're $400 a piece. That's $800 in value to some lucky person in this room that if they tweet and Facebook and twit and everything else tonight till your fingers bleed, you will be acknowledged and you'll win. Without any further ado, I would like to bring up the MC of the event, and that is my buddy from Radio Lightning, Adam Culver, who is going to now run the ship for us. Adam Culver.
Hey, here I am. Wow. What a wonderful crew out here tonight, Tom. I'm always honored to be part of Who Knew, but particularly tonight, and as passionate as Tom was right now talking about the events of this evening and the things that he read or didn't read that have led to it happening, he was even more passionate in person. So you know this is a cause that really matters. I'm really excited tonight just to be part of it. Got a nice crowd out here, always a nice light level at City Winery, which is one of the things that I look for most in a place. So it's appropriately dim, and I think we're dead on it right now. So I'm Adam. I do the morning show at Lightning 100. I do the local show. I also play in a local band, so I'm right in it with everybody. So I pick up as much from these things, I think, as anybody does. And one of the best parts is if you guys hang out afterwards, you can get to meet these folks and talk in person. If you know Nashville, if you've been here for a little bit, you know a lot of the most important connections you ever make are at a bar, at a winery, at a coffee shop. So, gonna be a great night tonight. Kicking things off strong. So, I don't know if any of you, when you're 10 years old, if you knew what you wanted to do. I was very sure. One of 2 things. I would be either an NBA player, cue laugh, or Transformer, which may have been literally more realistic. Neither of those things worked out. Our first presenter, actually, our first speaker, knew exactly what he wanted to be at 10 years old. He was like, I'm going to get in music business. And at 12, rolled into the local radio station and said, I want to work here. And then did it. And then at 15, went to Arista Records and worked with one-name folks like Biggie, Whitney, Aretha. So ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Bill Dorton!
Good evening. Wow. My journey. First of all, I want to thank Tom and Thalia for making my story was worthy to share tonight. Give it up for Tom and Thalia. So, a lot of people who are probably looking like, who is this guy? Some may know me, some may not. Hopefully I will share a little bit of my journey. It's a little bit longer than the time I have, but I'll do my best to condense it down. Wow. So a little bit about myself. I am the Senior Vice President. Well, first, my name is Phil Thornton. I'm the Senior Vice President and General Manager for RCA Inspiration, which is a division of Sony Music. My other job is I produce TV shows and films. So a few of the shows that I produce up here on the screen, R&B Divas, which is a successful franchise I executive produce for TV One, and It's a Man's World for BET, and Surviving Compton for Lifetime. So pretty exciting journey. And I know you're like, okay, and by the way, I'm 37. That's my real age. 37. Give it up for everybody. 80s babies in the building.
I promise.
So look at this adorable gentleman right here. Yeah, this was 1984. Was the year I was in pre-K doing photo shoots, and yeah, this is Norfolk, Virginia. Yes, Green Hill Farms Academy was the school, and I remember getting in trouble for selling bookmarks. Yeah, I was an entrepreneur at a young age. I convinced my cousin, who was about 5 years older than me, who could actually draw, hey, you know what? I got an idea how to make us some money. He said, what? I said, you draw, I'll sell it at school. So I was pushing in pre-K. So we were selling these bookmarks for a dime until someone snitched. It's always a snitch. And literally I got in trouble, and I remember that phone call going home to my mom, and she didn't know what to say, but from that day she said, I knew you were special. And I always had a lot of energy as a kid and was a little rowdy, but I always loved music. Music was that solace, that thing that just kept me focused and centered, and man, I love music. One of my most fondest memories of music was also in '84 when my mom got me a Fisher-Price record player. That Fisher-Price record player, I played and played and played, but one of the first records that she gave me, and I'll never forget it, was by one of my favorite artists, Prince. We'll play a little bit of that song. Y'all know this? Let's Go Crazy. Man, this song, at 4 years old, takes me back. So that was one of my very first records. My second record was Shaka Khan, I Feel For You, which was written by Prince. So needless to say, I was a Prince fan at 4 years old. So that was, again, music. I would listen to it all day. I would listen to my local radio stations back home repeatedly. 103 Jams was the #1 urban station back home in Norfolk, Virginia. I would listen to this station religiously. Like every single day. I knew every DJ, I knew every song, they about to play this, the drops, everything. And I just remember at 12 years old, I had the bright idea, I want to work there. And I know you're 12 years old, enjoy school, but I knew then, I was like, I want to do something in music. I didn't know what it was at that time, but for some crazy reason, I called the request line to this wonderful station, 103 Jams. There we go. So 103 Jams, again, is located in Norfolk, Virginia. It was the #1 overall station in the market. It played R&B and hip-hop primarily. Man, it was just a great time for music and just a great time for VA. And, oh, actually, I think I got a photo of me interning back then. Well, that's a photo, so we'll cut to that. But I initially called the request line, 466-0103, and I could talk to Candy Eastman. Candy Eastman was the midday personality at the radio station. And I introduced myself. I said, hi, I'm Philip Thornton. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. I'd love to get a tour of your radio station. And Candy told me to call the business office line and schedule an appointment. That number was 627-5800. How about that? See? All right. So I called the business office, set up an appointment, went through the radio station, and I was just enamored about all the equipment, the people. I had no idea of all of the various departments that went into an actual radio station, the sales department, promotions, marketing, programming. And I was like, man, I want in on this. Like 12 years old, this is 92, spring of 92. I'm already like staking my claim. And I asked Candy, hey, you know what, can I come back next week? And she said, hey, schedule it with the front desk. Let's set it up. And so that following week, I came back, did a follow-up tour, did the same thing a few weeks after. That summer of 92, I was interning at 103 Jams. 12 years old. And recently, I had the pleasure of reconnecting with Candy, the young lady who gave me my start in radio. She's now in Houston. That's a photo of Candy and I early this year when I was in Houston for Super Bowl. So Candy Eastman, I owe a lot to you because she saw something in me as a 12-year-old that I don't even know what. But I'm grateful. So I didn't want to stop there. I said, I'm loving this whole radio thing. I'm excited. I'm in the radio station. We got Jams Fest, and this photo is actually from one of the actual Jams Fest, probably 93, 94, which was like the big annual radio station concert. But again, at that, I still didn't stop. I felt like there was a higher place that I could go. And I would see in the radio station on a weekly basis the various record company people that would come and visit to promote their respective records. And I'm like, man, what do they do? And so as the different reps would come into the station, I would say, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm such and such. I work for Columbia Records, or Motown Records, or Island Def Jam. And I was determined at that point, and this is fast forward to 1995, I wanted to work for a record company. Yeah, so I'm like, okay, how do I get in at this point? I'm at the radio station, my wheels are turning, and anybody remember the trade publications back in the day, like Hits Magazine, Gavin, etc.? Anybody? Round of applause? Okay. Yeah. So Gavin Magazine used to have a section where they would, profile new artists. This respective issue had the an issue with Biggie and Craig Mack, and it chronicled the whole, man, just the launch of what was an amazing empire, that of Bad Boy Entertainment, which at the time was partnered under Arista. And man, it was just, it was the beginning of something big, but I knew it that very day, I need to call these people and have a piece of this. So I looked in the directory and it had two contacts. One was a gentleman named Jeff House, who was at Arista, and another one, Harv Pierre, who was at Bad Boy Records at the time. Bad Boy was a long distance number, Arista was an 800 number. So I didn't have any money. I said, you know what? I'm going to try my luck and call the Arista contact, which was 1-800-6-ARISTA. And I called Jeff's office, and his assistant, Taja Ray, answered the phone. And I remember just her patching me through. And I was like, okay, think quick. What are you going to say? What are you going to say? And so I literally said, okay, I'm at Wowie. I'm at 103 Jams. That's going to be my end. Fast forward. Jeff takes a call. He tells me that, hey, you know what, kid? You're young. Come back in a few years when you're in college, and we can see if we can work something out. I didn't take no for an answer. I didn't take no. And that's always been my story. Do not take no for an answer. I never have. I'm allergic to the word. I always try to figure out how to say not now, not yet, maybe tomorrow. But I didn't want to take the no, and I called back 5 more times. Persistence. And anybody that's worked with me knows I'm very persistent, right, Gene? So, probably the 6th time I spoke to Jeff, he said, you know what, kid, we'll give you an opportunity. It was a record he gave me from the D&D All-Stars, which was a hip-hop compilation at that time, and I promoted it like it was the best thing ever. I ended up getting Wowie to play it, a competing hip-hop station to play the song, and they started noticing just my work in the Norfolk, Virginia area alone. And they started now calling me back, and that was the start of my internship with Arista Records. So it was really cool because Arista was the home of Biggie, Whitney Houston, TLC, all these amazing artists at that time. And again, just really skipping through. I sing because I'm happy. Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong side. But that was the start of an amazing journey, and I met so many amazing people. The Notorious B.I.G., Whitney Houston, Faith Evans, who I later went on to work with on the R&B Divas franchise and manage. But it taught me a lot, and I met a lot of great people along the way. In 1998, I graduated from high school, Kempsville High in Virginia Beach. Was determined education was always very important to me. And then I decided to go to school at the wonderful Norfolk State University. There we go. Located in Norfolk, Virginia. Decided I wanted to major in marketing. And marketing was very exciting to me. I took some marketing courses in high school and just wanted to keep it going. And later started to have a radio show at the campus radio station Hot 91. I hated the jazz music at the time that they played. And I was one of those rebellious kids that wanted to just, again, not taking no for an answer. I was like, why are we playing R&B and hip hop? I'm at 19, 20 at that time and just determined like to make a difference on my campus. Again, not accepting no, because I just believe in we all have a voice and it's important to use that voice. So me and my colleague Candy Sawyer, who you see pictured right here in the middle, did this wonderful 40-page proposal and to our president of the university, and then they flipped the station format, and we started off with the actual on-air show for the afternoon drive for the station. So that was my journey at Norfolk State. Give it up. Graduated in 2003. I was adamant about moving to New York City. New York is where I really, really wanted to live. I didn't realize how expensive New York was. Maybe I should have lived in Far Rock. Shout out to Justin. So I lived in Battery. I did a whole business plan for one of my relatives to start my own management company. Again, I am 23 years old and just have a vision, and I feel like music is what I need to do, but I'm still trying to find my way. As many of you can attest, it takes time to find your way when you're in your 20s. So I did this business plan for my uncle. He gave me an initial investment to start Bright Star Entertainment, which was a management company located in New York, 42nd and Lexington. And, I managed a few artists, Little Mo. Anybody know Little Mo? She's on Love and Hip Hop coming up soon. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that yet, but she's on Love and Hip Hop next season. 112, a few other great producers. So yeah, it was awesome, a great chapter of my life. In 2006, I felt compelled to move cross country. I think for me, it was God. It was a voice that you need to move west. I literally got rid of the beautiful apartment I had in Battery Park and the office and literally headed west and not even a place to live. And moved in with a friend in Inglewood. And yeah, Inglewood, shout out to Inglewood. And I just had a plan, but I knew I wanted to continue my path in music, but also I was like, I really want to expand into television production. At that time, I continued to manage, and I joined forces with two other buddies of mine, Marcus Spence and Paul Coy Allen, and we formed a wonderful management company called 10-to-1 Entertainment. We represented a variety of artists, everybody from Mac Wiles, actor-singer, Michael B. Jordan. I represented for, a couple months before he fired me. We were friends, and sometimes friends don't work. Well, that's another story, but Faith Evans, a lot of other great people. And it was great to have that time in LA, and we started, a buddy of mine was doing television production at the time, Datari Turner, and I was infatuated, like, how did you get to do this? Walk me through the steps. And short version, 2006, we pitched our very first show together, which was I Married a Baller. Shout out to Eddie George and Taj from Nashville's own. That was my first reality show on the TV One network, which, led to many other shows thereafter. I know I don't have a lot of time, so I'm trying to condense it all as much as I can, y'all, in this 10 minutes. But I Married a Baller was the very first show. Then I did Lisa Ray's series, which led to R&B Divas and many other shows thereafter. In 2012, our wonderful friends at E1. Shout out to E1. Gave me a call, offered me a job as the VP of Marketing. I accepted. That's what brought me to Nashville. I continued to produce TV shows and just develop content and work in the marketing department. Eventually was elevated to the general manager for the division. Yes, elevated. And it was exciting, and I love the people working there. We made a lot of great, successful projects happen together, from Layla Hathaway to Jonathan McReynolds, Erica Campbell, Shirley Caesar. It was a great ride, but then last year in June, I got a call from these people. Sony Music, wonderful company, joined the company, again, still producing. But guys, in closing, continue to stay true to your purpose. When your passion meets your purpose, it's unstoppable, for real. And never accept no. I know you'll meet a lot of people in this room tonight, but find a way to connect, network, follow up, follow through with each other, and develop true relationships. Relationships are key. They'll make and break you in this business. But again, do not take no. Don't be afraid to be persistent and follow up. And that's all I got. So thank you. And again, my little journey. Some amazing people I work with. Thank you.
All right. Phil Thornton, ladies and gentlemen, amazing job. What a story, too. Phil went, you know how in basketball sometimes people will skip college and go to the pros? You skipped middle school and high school and went right into pro music. Amazing. And didn't ask anybody's permission, just went and did it. Really amazing way to kick off the night tonight. Up next, we've got another great speaker. So, she started at this company called Star Song Communications. My dad is a preacher, so I grew up listening to a lot of Christian music, pretty much exclusively. And she broke this band called Phillips, Craig, and Dean. I don't know if you guys know it, but it you do. All right, good. It was enough of a smash to make its way to the sort of treeless flatlands of North Dakota where I come from, and youth group kids were all doing interpretive dances. I hope you know what that is. To Phillips, Craig, and Dean. None of that would have been possible without our next presenter, I don't think. Also, I'm sure a lot of you know the Marvin Sapp song, Never Would Have Made It. She was one of the people that helped make it. I'm going to say helped. I'm not going to try to overcredit you. But ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to the President and Executive Director of the Gospel Music Association, Jackie Patillo.
Couldn't have been more surprised when Tom asked me to be a part of this illustrious cast. And I'm here to tell my story. I came to Nashville in 1989. I was a crushed, heartbroken woman. I was married at a very young age, married a rock star, the lead singer of Santana. My ex-husband had a conversion experience, or came to know Christ when he was in the band, and led me and my whole family to the Lord, really. Okay, I gotta figure out how to do this. Tom. Do I do a clicker? All right, well, we may not do it. So I think I was at, married to a rock star. Came to know Jesus, led me and my whole family to the Lord, got married, and embarked upon a music ministry. My ex-husband, Leon Patillo, became like one of the top 5 Christian artists in the 80s. And then life threw me a real left turn. And I was faced with divorce, 2 small children, 3 and 7, who wanted to eat every day 3 times. And I asked God, what was I going to do? Because at that time, he told me to, that's not working. So I did it. So faced with the 2 small children, I came to Nashville in 1989, and I was very blessed in that I need to just like start my 10 minutes over.
It's my fault, y'all.
Well, technology is always a challenge.
There you go. Great.
Tell me how to make that. There you go. So, 2 kids, brokenhearted, needed an identity makeover. And he knew I was a woman of determination. And he's the one that basically told me, he said, Jackie, you're an A&R person. He says, we don't have that job for you right now, but if you'll just come here and do anything, I'll get you there. And so I started at that little record label. And the founder and his wife, Daryl Harris and Janet, and a man named Jeff Mosley, they mentored me. They taught me excellence and servant leadership. They modeled servant leadership to me in a way that has definitely been a strong thread throughout my course. At Star Song, like you said, I signed a group named Philip, Craig, and Dean. We just celebrated their 25th year anniversary at the Dove Awards last year. I started at Star Song as the receptionist, and 8 years later when it was purchased and we all had to move on, I was the vice president of A&R and artist development there. Went from there to, oh, I wanted to mention my experience with leadership music. I was in the 3rd class of leadership music in 1992. And that was very important for me to tell you all today because I just recently signed back up to be on one of the committees. And it has brought back a flood of great memories because Dale Franklin also was a sweet, sweet mentor to me way back when. And when I was on the board and they said, we need to come up with a fundraiser, we need a project, we need to do something. Well, I'd come from California, the Bay Area, where we had the Bay Area Music Awards. And I said, well, what if we did the Nashville Music Awards? And they banged it around the table and thought it was a great idea. And so we launched the Nashville Music Awards, the NAMMYs. That's the art that you see there is Donna Summers. She was a sculptor and a painter, and she gave us that artwork for that year at the NAMMYs. It turned into the Dale Franklin Awards, which is rightly named. I moved from Star Song to the Benson Company with Jeff Mosley, and that's where I signed Natalie Grant, one of the most powerful voices in contemporary Christian music today. And that picture is our pastor. She was the secretary at the church, y'all. And she'd come from Seattle, Washington, and with a vision and a song. And today, Natalie is married to her keyboard player, which I found and introduced her to. And they have 3 wonderful children, and the rest is history for Natalie. Moved on from the Benson Company, where I was an A&R person there, and went to Mobile, Alabama. I thought, 5 hours down the road, how bad can it be? Bad. If you think they don't recognize black professionals in Nashville, you can only imagine in Mobile, Alabama, they didn't know what to do with me. I was a working woman and owned my own home. I had people come from the church and the Bible study going, you live here? I'm like, yeah, that's home, yeah. But it was that Integrity Gospel. I was the general manager of their gospel division. It had always been a heart's desire for me to work in the gospel industry. I'd gotten my first gospel gold record at Star Song, where we had marketed John P. Key and distributed Thai stop music, and so was able to culminate build those relationships in the gospel community. And so when I went to Integrity, it was a dream come true, real vision fulfilled for me. So I worked with Israel Houghton there, Joe Pace, Lisa McClendon, and we marketed the Mary Mary record to the CCM world and got acquainted with Mary Mary, which we all know what a great talent they are. Didn't like Mobile, as I said, because there were personal challenges there, although I loved the job. And prayed my way out, and with God and his sense of humor, I went to New York. I got a job at Verity Records, which is now the company that Phil Thornton works with. It's a small world, right? And at Verity, it was an interesting season because there were the top selling artists in gospel music that were facing a season in our industry's climate where record sales were declining. And it was very challenging for our artists who were accustomed to selling platinum records to face this new season. And it was very challenging for Verity as a company, because although it was the largest gospel company in the world, there were some realities that still needed to be faced, and hence why I'm so grateful that Phil Thornton is now there, because he's really brought heart and vision back to that label, and I think that we're seeing a great progress in the music, and I think it's a wonderful thing that they brought that company here to Nashville. So yes, he had already mentioned that one of the first records I worked on was the Marvin Sapp project. Marvin had been in a group called Commission. He and his wife are very, very passionate people. I was familiar with a producer named Aaron Lindsay, introduced Aaron Lindsay to them, and it was a great marriage. I think they've done every one of Marvin's records since, but Marvin went on to have a gold record and never would have made it, swept the country in ways that was just phenomenal. I got the corporate move, which there's no move like a corporate move. My boss at the time, Jazzy Jordan, said, hey, we're gonna move your office to Nashville, which was music to my ears because Nashville is really what I considered home. My children were here. And a year later, after I'd come here, I was right-sized. How many of you have been right-sized? And again, faced with, okay, what's next? Well, how many of you know that God truly does order your steps? I had been a member of the board of the Gospel Music Association for years. But when they decided to search for an executive director, it never dawned on me to apply. I knew nothing about being the head of a nonprofit. I knew nothing about being a part of a trade association. I was an A&R person. The climate was very, very difficult, as they say, when the mainstream gets a cold, us niches, we get pneumonia. And so it was a very difficult season for the Gospel Music Association as our labels began to get smaller. The whole industry has been challenged with monetizing and adjusting to the way people now consume music. So when they asked me to be the executive director at the GMA, I was pretty dumbfounded and didn't feel like I was qualified in any way, shape, or form, but God. I figured, well, I'm not doing anything else. I may as well, see what there is. And I didn't know whether I was coming to bury the association or if God wanted it to thrive. But it was very quickly that what was an apprehensive move on my part that was full of, oh my gosh, I don't know how, turned into a true calling. The mission of the Gospel Music Association is to expose, promote, and celebrate the gospel through music. And that's all I've ever done my entire life, is facilitate the creation of gospel music and to serve our creatives. And so at the Gospel Music Association and the GMA Foundation, all of the label walls have come down. And I get to serve the entire Christian and gospel music community. It is amazing to me how I've seen the thread of the relationships that I have be more important in this job than knowing some of the tasks around heading a nonprofit. So the Gospel Music Association and the Foundation, we are known by 3 events. We do GMA Honors, which is we induct 4 people into the GMA Hall of Fame, and we honor 4 people from within our music community for their philanthropy. Immerse is a 3-day music training program that we gather the industry together and speak into the next generation of worship leaders, Christian artists, and Christian business people. Believe that there's a lot that we have that we can share and deposit into the future, and we're able to do that at Immerse. And of course, you all are familiar with the Dove Awards. October the 17th, just 6 weeks from now, we will be hosting the 48th annual GMA Dove Awards on the campus of Lipscomb University. Our theme for this year is Sound the Remedy. 2 years ago, I decided, you know, we need to give instruction as we go. And the Dove Awards is the only platform that you'll see all genres of Christian and gospel music represented. Southern gospel, black gospel, hip hop, CCM. We're very proud of that. And so our theme was Better Together 2 years ago. Last year it was Love Amplified. This year our theme is Sound the Remedy, because we do believe that the message of Jesus Christ that is in our music is the remedy for the world today. We believe that the artists that are serving on the front lines are not just up there getting awards, but they're being recognized for the sacrifice, the creativity, and the calling that is on their lives. And so I hope that you all would consider joining us. Please pray for us at the Gospel Music Association as we forge forward. If I had more time, I'd share the vision that we have to have a center for the advancement of gospel music. But in the meantime, God bless you all, and thank you for letting me come.
Hey, all right, one more time for Jackie Patillo. Spreading the gospel of music through music. Very cool stuff right there. Man, I'm sensing a theme. Here you go, Tom. You want a mic? There, we can all have mics. I'm sensing a theme here, like if you don't know if you can do something, but you have the opportunity to try it, just do it. It's way easier said than done. It's scary, but obviously 2 out of 2 folks are doing really well with it. Our next speaker's really excited about these 2. This is a combo act. So I want everybody to think about this for a second. On the count of 3, tell me your favorite artist of all time. We're all just gonna say it out loud, and I hope somebody says my band. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Spoon. Okay, yeah, I think that was pretty much all my band. No, there's a good chance, there's a really good chance that a lot of you said an artist that these guys have actually worked with. I first came into contact with them. We had a local artist of the week at Lightning 100. We pick a Nashville band and we spin them in heavy rotation and they play a show. And I got to see one of these gentlemen playing keyboard, and it was one of the most like unbelievable experiences I've had watching live music. Just purely free, purely joy, as if no note on that keyboard could be ever wrong. And that was what it felt like. It was amazing. So these guys have gone from banging on pots and pans in the church kitchen to writing bangers for Rihanna, Britney Spears, Bruno Mars, and more. Please welcome the Weirdo Workshop themselves, Claude Kelly and Chuck Harmony.
What's up, people? Hello, hello. Y'all good? Are you really good? This is a sexy venue, so yeah, feel free to break the rules and get loud. All right, I don't even know where to start. I'm Claude Kelly.
And I'm Chuck Harmony.
And we are the CEOs of a company, you'll see a flash in here, called Weirdo Workshop. So, woo, exactly, thank you.
Anybody got their Weirdo Workshop t-shirt?
No.
Get your Weirdo Workshop.
Right.
Weirdo Workshop.
It's good to plug at the beginning before you forget. All right, so listen, we're on a time limit, so not a whole lot. We're gonna get all out. So over there, all right, I'm shouting the clock. So listen, I'm gonna give you a brief introduction of where we all came from, and then I'll explain to you how we landed in this cool, awesome city called Nashville. I'm from New York City. I was born and raised in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. New York is everywhere I go. And I grew up obsessed with music. I've been told that I was singing before I could really understand words or understand speech. My family is non-musical at all. They're actually from Jamaica and all in medicine, but I was the one that got bit by the bug before I knew it. Listen, don't start. Just Jamaicans everywhere I go too. That's how we do. I knew early on that music was for me. I had no idea how. I just knew that I was going to be doing music in some way, shape, or form. And I chased that dream my entire life, through grade school, through high school. Eventually went to Berklee College of Music. I love y'all. When I graduated, wasn't really sure what I was going to do. And life happened. I graduated right around 9/11, and the world changed, obviously, in very, very strange ways, and music took a huge hit. And I realized that that guaranteed job at a record label that I thought I'd get coming out of college was no longer there for me. And I stumbled into songwriting after I graduated from Berklee. Never wrote a song until after.
So you wanted to be a songwriter? I mean, you wanted to be a
I wanted to be L.A. Reid.
Put a pin in that.
I saw the face of the kid, and I saw all these cool, excellent black artists, colorful clothing, and I was like, I want to create that. And then I was also a performer, but then I gave that up kind of to figure things out, and figure things out led me into songwriting. And I was in New York basically doing whatever I could, with whoever I could, anytime there's a studio session, and trying to get myself outside of New York to other cities like Atlanta and LA. And after a lot of sessions, a lot of hard work, a lot of no's, a lot of try again, you suck, your song is terrible, things started to pick up for me. I started getting placements through Sony. I had some songs with Frankie J and with Ray J randomly, Love and Hip Hop Plug, and a few other people. And then I was kind of at my wit's end, no money, living at home, and I was like, okay. Literally said to myself, God, if you can just get me a little bit, enough money to get me to California. I don't know what that means, but I feel like if I can just get there, something will open up for me. And I've been holding out on a publishing deal, even though people had been talking about me. And it was at that point where I said, I can't take it anymore. And I took a really small publishing deal at Warner Chappell just to kind of get me some money in my pocket to get somewhere. And that trip to LA changed my life. And that's when I think I officially became a songwriter. And in that first burst, I worked with Akon for the first time, and Dr. Luke for the first time. And some of my first placements, which were Britney Spears, Circus, and Kelly Clarkson, and Akon records with Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston, all came out of that trusting. You said, come on. all came out of me trusting something bigger than myself, and remembering that you have to follow your gut and what you love about music to take you places. And it was through that same intent and hope that I actually came across this guy. So I was back in New York after some of those things, and now had some relationships with A&Rs, and got a call from a guy named Steve Ferreira saying, there's this guy in Atlanta you gotta work with for this artist that ironically L.A. Reid signed, named Chrisette Michelle. And I went down there out of complete blind faith. I'd never met this guy. He had never met me. We had never worked together. And flew to Atlanta to work on this artist. None of the three of us had met. And it's been rock and roll ever since. So let me let him tell you about his genius upbringing, and then we'll bring it all together for you.
So, like I said, my name is Chuck Harmony, and I can tell you, I want to tell you first that I'm in the wrong profession, because I really wanted to be a jazz piano player, but I soon realized that jazz people didn't make no money. So,
not enough.
But I want you to stick a pin in the fact that I wanted to be a jazz musician while I tell my story. So I started off like everybody else started off in church. You know, like every musician starts off playing the piano or playing the drums or playing the bass. I started off because I lived in the hood. I figured that I should learn tuba first. I don't know why.
It's the most unsexy instrument ever.
I thought it would be cool to learn, as a black guy, to learn the tuba. So I learned the tuba, and the tuba took me places. It took me through junior high school, it took me through high school. I picked up the trombone on the way, and then I was ready to go to college. And after my athletic dreams were shattered because I was small and I sucked. My high school band director told me that I should apply to Alabama State University. Who said that? Who said Alabama State? Woo! 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 No, but I applied to, you said why? I applied to Alabama State because they were looking for tuba players. That's why. and neither me nor my mother had enough money to send me to college, so I took the plunge and I became the head tuba player at Alabama State University. But y'all clapping too prematurely because 3 months later I quit the band. I'm gonna tell you why I quit the band. I quit the band because black colleges and universities take marching band very seriously. They take it way too seriously. I was up at 6 a.m. practicing. It's from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. I had to practice. And then you do your classes from 8 to 3, and then at 3 you gotta practice again from 3 or 4 o'clock to 7, 8 at night. So I was either gonna quit and pass or keep doing it and flunk out of school. So I quit the marching band and I found my way to the music hall and discovered the piano. Like I've been on the piano. Like I love the piano, but I couldn't play it until I got to college. And when I got to college, I fell in love with that thing. And 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day, every day at Alabama State, I wanted to be a jazz piano player, so I practiced. And after practicing for a few years, not finishing school, I moved to Atlanta for another scholarship. I actually got a jazz piano scholarship at Clark Atlanta University. And that took me to Atlanta. I'm not gonna tell you the year, but it took me to Atlanta. And I started this quest to become a jazz piano player. And when I got to Atlanta, I realized that everybody wanted to be a piano player. And so that wasn't gonna work. On top of it, I wasn't making no money, it was too crowded. And so I met this guy, and he took a liking to the instrumentals that I would make to improvise solos, improvise jazz solos. His name was K.O. Cates, and he was actually a hip-hop producer. I didn't know what producing was. I barely knew what hip-hop was because I was a jazz guy. And so he took a liking to my instrumentals, and he was like, yo, like, let's do some beats together. I'm like, what's a beat? I don't know what a beat is, but I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? And so together, he would make a beat, and I would do like the chords on top of it. And we got our first placement on this rap group from Alabama named Dirty. And that was my entry into producing. I didn't make any money. He took all the money. He took all the credit. But at least I knew what producing was. And after I heard this song on the radio, I caught the bug of wanting to be on the radio. And so I further explored producing. So I kind of dedicated all my time to producing in Atlanta and kind of becoming the R&B guy in Atlanta at that time. And my name started floating around, and then I get this, I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm sitting at Wednesday night Bible class, because by this time I was playing at church, playing the organ at church. And so my girlfriend at the time, she came busting through the church doors, and she was like, yo, Chuck, Neo wants to meet you. So I left church right away. I didn't tell nobody nothing. I just got off the organ, middle of service.
You probably got
tell nobody nothing. And I proceeded to the studio where I was to meet Neo. And that meeting actually changed my life, because my first 3 placements was actually done that night. I had a book bag full of tracks, because I was a track guy. And Neo wrote 3 songs. He wrote a song called I Got Nothing Left. And that was my first placement on Celine Dion album. And he wrote a song called Let Me Know, and that was my placement on Janet Jackson Discipline album. And then he wrote a song called Growing Pains, was my third placement on Mary J. Blige's Growing Pains album. And so, I'm glad I have church.
So let me fast forward a little bit. So we spent about 7-8 years really working hard at becoming as successful as we could at producing and songwriting. And eventually, between trips to LA and Atlanta, living in Atlanta and LA and New York, we both ended up in New York about 3 years ago. And unbeknownst to each other, actually, we're kind of burnt out. Just something you feel bad saying, because when you're that successful with those kind of artists, you feel bad complaining when there's so many people who would love to trade positions with you. So you often spend some time miserable and not knowing why. So I trusted him enough to tell him that I was thinking about quitting, and he actually trusted me enough at the same time to say, I'm thinking about the same thing. And he sounded totally nuts to me. And apparently I sounded nuts to him. So we decided that day that we were gonna try one more time to fall in love with music again, fall in love with the creative process, fall in love with the feeling you get from music and the reason that you hold on to records for a long time and art for a long time. And in that process, locked away in a room, we started creating some of what I think is our best work, because it comes from the most genuine place. It's not trying to do 3 minutes and 30 seconds because someone asked you for it, or because the radio says this is the new trend. We purposely defied genres because sometimes they put you in boxes that don't allow you to be yourself. And in that process, I think we found who we were as men, as artists, as humanitarians, as compassionate people. And rather than put those in separate boxes, we created a house for ourselves that kind of was a home for all of it. In the process, we're like, well, this stuff is great, let's become a band. So I'm from New York, like I said, he's from East St. Louis, so Louis, York. And we started putting out music.
Let me put it, I told you to put a pin in the jazz piano player, and I'm so elated right now because that dream of mine becoming a jazz musician actually came true this weekend. Oh yeah. And it came true because me, along with my brilliant partner, we had the notion of creating the next jazz standard, and we released that thing Friday. And to my surprise, people actually still like jazz. And so Louis Short, a jazz standard called I Enjoy You. It's on Sirius Radio. We debuted it on
Lightning 100 debuted it
yesterday. So dreams do come true. You just got to keep doing it. Keep doing it.
So just to let you know why we're in Nashville, which is why we wanted to close this thing, was after figuring out a formula, and the only formula is to be yourself. That's the formula. It sounds cliche, but it's really not. Listen, it's my life obstacle is to fight to be myself every day, despite all the messaging coming at me. And we wanted to find a place where we could house that, nurture it, find other cool people like ourselves that were unafraid to challenge themselves creatively, spiritually, politically, culturally. And so we called our company Weirdo Workshop because I realized, and he realized, and we realized as a band together, that the things that made us really, really powerful as people, as people who express ourselves through art, were the things that people called weird. And weird is no longer a bad word to us. It's not a curse word. It's something that I embrace. It's something that we encourage the people around us to embrace through their own art, through doing research, from collaborating together. So the Weirdo Workshop is both the name of our company and a motto for us. So it's a reminder every time we look at our t-shirts, every time we see the name, every time we talk about the company, that the workshop is the work in progress. And the weirdo part is the fact that you should be leaning into the things that make you different. And I think if you reflect all of that belief into your music, into your business, into your connections, into your networking tonight, you'll find that you meet the right people for you. You end up in the right city for you.
Yeah.
You end up around the company we're keeping tonight with Phil and Gene and all the people who you're going to see tonight, Anasa. Yeah. Everyone here, I think, is an example of people not listening to what everyone's saying and following their own path and being the weirdo they were meant to be. So, I mean, I could go on forever, but I want to leave you with that because that's really what makes us tick and what makes us the guys who stand here in Nashville today.
Stories, and they kind of sound like that was the place. As a matter of fact, I've been to the houses where they grew up, and I'm pretty certain that while that's not the house that they grew up in, it's very reminiscent of the places that my mother and my father grew up. And I can't really even start my journey without not acknowledging them, but their mothers and their fathers. And I know for sure that's the way it looked. And so my journey really starts there. And my journey, much like many, is a musical journey. Whole family of musicians, we all played a lot of instruments, and we had to. We had no choice. My grandmother made sure of it. She taught 10 children to play the piano all by herself. My mom's mother played with a real classical style, kind of like Scott Joplin. Ragtime was her theme, very classical formal training. And my father's mother was Mississippi born and raised, and so her notes sounded like Mississippi Delta blues. So combined with them both, who lived just, my mother's mother lived with me all of my life, and my grandmother, who's my father's mom, lived just across town. I had both of those influences in my life as music. Not to mention my mother was a musician at our church for all of my life, and I would watch her play the piano Sunday after Sunday, and I sat in a little wood chair just behind her every week until I could get to a place where I could sit somewhere else. And so I can really tell you quickly a whole lot of history about that. It's been an amazing journey to be able to look from my beginning to now, to see how it all made sense and how it all connects. And really, like many of you, I'm sure there's someone else, I'm sure I'm not alone with this. I had a vision for my journey, where I thought my gifts were going to take me, what I thought I was going to be doing with them. And that's exactly what did not happen. And so, from about the time I was 5 years old, I started taking piano lessons. I took piano lessons all the way through college. In college, I have a Bachelor of Music degree. I played in the band from 7th grade through college. My best friend in the whole world is sitting out there right now. We started the band together in 7th grade. And band paid for college for me. I have a degree. I have a license to teach music in the state of Tennessee, K through 12. And so I'm saying all of that to say very clearly and plainly that, one, music is all I know. I didn't know what else that I was going to do but music. Music is what I was born to do. Music is who I was shaped to become in some form or fashion. And so it really wasn't until fast forward to my start at a wonderful record label that I'm still a part of almost 14 years ago now. I walked into Light Records in what was arguably the darkest days of my life, and not knowing, much like Jackie's story, really what the plan for my life was going to fully be. I knew there were some things that I could do, and I met a man who was running the company in totality, the CEO, and he said to me, I run a gospel label, do you know any of these people? And I said, yeah. He named artists that I absolutely knew who they all were. They were artists that I loved, and their music I had been singing all my life in church. And I thought, this has got to be a dream. You mean to tell me that there's some possibility at walking into there every day and being a part of people and their careers and their music and getting into the world? Because my church thought I was coming back home after college to be the minister of music. I've played in churches around this city for the last 20 years that I was here, the first 20 after college. And when I didn't go back home, it was a hard adjustment. But I got to a place where I was able to get them to understand that I'm no different from what they expected me to become. I am a minister of music every day at my desk, and I have been for a long time. And I'm appreciative to be able to reuse the gifts that I had in another capacity. And if I can share anything with you, I want to leave you with this, that whatever those gifts are, if you can think about that you may possibly have to re-gift them and use them in another way, much like we do the gifts we don't want. And that's what happens. You take that thing and you bag it up, new tissue paper in it, and you give it to someone else. That's how we have to think of our gifts sometimes. Sometimes we want to do something with our gift that's not for us to do. The frustration comes because we don't yield to the place that we were actually created to be. And so a lot of times for me, it was a dream that I had. I was going to the Metropolitan Opera House. I was going to sing Leontine Price's songs better than she ever could have done them. But what I realized was that my dream had nothing to do with God's plan. And so there was a plan for my life from day one, and all I had to do was stay on the road that was already set before me to get there. One thing about my position, I feel who I am, I have a shirt line, and it has my name on it. What I can tell you is all you have is your name. I don't have artist pictures in my, I can give you a whole list of artists, and it's all wonderful. I have some amazing relationships with our artists and have for a long time. Some of my very best friends are our artists. But I can tell you, artists change. People change, seasons change. What does not change is your name and what you do with the work that's attached to your name. That won't ever move or change. When I was a little girl, we did those shirts in probably 1977, 76. And one thing I love about that shirt, which the shirt I'm wearing has my name on it, that shirt has my father's name on it. And it's really all he gave me was my name. And it has tribe on there. Find you a tribe of people that support you. Find you some people that believe in you. Find a village that will support you and nurture you and convict you and correct you. That's what we all need. We need a group of people who will say, you're on the right track, or pull your coattail when you aren't. That's a little girl, I just love that picture. It's just as rich to me as the first picture. Being a little girl at a piano is still where I go. I can go there alone without anyone. I don't need an artist, I don't need a budget, I don't need permission. All I need is me and my song. I do believe that we all have the power to be. There's a few tenets and principles that I just live by. Kindergarten rules are probably some of the best examples of a business plan that you could come up with. You really have to just believe in yourself. Share with other people, be nice, be kind. You know, those kind of things are just real simple things that will take you a long way. No matter what anyone says, you are already enough. Who you are right now, what you have, and what you were born with will take you farther than anything you can manufacture or try to recreate. Trust that in yourself and believe it, and it will take you even further than you can imagine. Climb. I'm gonna skip over that because I really felt like there was something for me to do that speaks to who I believe I am. And one of the things that I know I was born to do was to be here, to be a connector. And 4 is a simple words, 3 letters. It's a preposition, and it's a preposition that connects. And so one of the things that I learned early on was that I really wanted to be a writer too. I wanted to do everything. I really did. I was so artsy. I wanted to write. I wanted to do all these things. And my mother said no. She was like, no, you can't be a journalism major. You have to go to school and get a degree, and you have to get a license to teach. What that degree is in, I don't care, but it was like when I asked for certain things, it was like, no, you can't do that. And journalism was one of those. But thank goodness I get to write every day. Thank goodness for Facebook because I get to write every day. I get to write on my phone every night. I get to be the poet that I always wanted to be. I get to sing every day in our office as loud as I want, and it's all fine. And so what I want to leave you with is just a rundown of who I believe I am and who I believe some of your experiences are. 4 is another word that just simply says, not only is it a preposition that connects, but it means literally to connect. And so I want to leave you with these words. Hopefully they'll resonate with you. For time, for timing, for the right time, for good work, for meetings, for special seating, for boardrooms, for events, for clipboards, for the list police, for itineraries and for schedules, for distribution, for disclaimers, for retainers, for confidentiality, for accountability, for rhetoric, for semantics, for restructuring, for reconfiguring, for jargon, for business, for benefits, for perks, for passion, for purpose, for what you really think works, for co-working, for colleagues, for conferences, for going for what you know, for perfect execution that yields high hopes, for positioning, for practicing, for wanting it all to stick, for not wanting it all to miss, for the alerts and reminders, for appointments and for FaceTime and for email and for millions of text messages, for the one who says, oh, I didn't get any of that, for when the read receipts say just the opposite, for operating with excellence or not at all, for the person who's late and making us all stall, for the most amazing conference calls, for the $1 million question, who's out here, y'all? For video capability, for the one who blurs, can everyone see me? For recaps, for good stats, for spin history, for sales, for reports, for the quarter, for the culture, for promotional opportunity, for budgets, for decisions, for fiscal year reasons, for award seasons, for will call, for lost tickets, for red carpets, For we're wearing the same outfit for this very good question. Can we leave yet? For being open to teach for the leaders who lead. For creating leaders who will one day be able to succeed. For team building, for legacy, for exceptionality, for productivity, for sustainability, for character, for promise, for possibility, for information, for collaboration, for obligation, for association, for expectation, for humility, for positivity, for playlisting, for musicality, for profitability, for conversation, for motivation, for thinking outside the box, for that one who left the donut in the box, for determination, for nights, for days, for dates, for charts, for numbers, for number ones, for me, for you, for we, for she, for Music City, for this industry, for gender, for equality, for freedom, for letting it ring, for democracy, for morality, for integrity, for humanity, for good company, for what should really be, for what you don't see, for what you don't want to see, for seeing you genuinely, for what will be, for only if you embrace and you would own your own gifts authentically, for the magnificence that you could reach, for if only you could really see, for if you had only one person who in you would believe, for the real idea of what greatness means, for standing up for what you believe, for doing things respectfully, for compassion and why it's such a mystery, for every second, for every day, for every win, for every loss, for every yes, for every no, for every closed door, for every window, for life, for death, for ideas that are dead and gone, for the great ideas that are still going strong, for the lives of those who have died, for the dead who will once live again, for the music that will forever live on, for the courageous soul who can admit when they are wrong, for the glories and the hallelujahs, for our truths are still sort of kind of possibly trying to march on, for Doug and Fresh still being on, for James inspiring us with Monica and Fred to just hold on, for old Danny Boy being sung to the tune of another song, for the rising of another day, for the setting of another sun, for the sunflowers that rise up towards the marvelous light, for the real smart person who is always right, for the weakest person standing, always ready to fight, for all of those who came, for all of those who've chosen to leave, for the days I've had to remind myself, no drama and no stressing, for blessings on blessings, for all the folks who've been a part of my successes, for the good moments and for the bad times, for the things that came easy and for the things that required extra work, for the seasons when there was very little and for the seasons that produced more than I needed, for the changes of seasons, for the changes with our business, for the changes with people, for the changes in me, for the changing of my mind, for the changing of my body, for changing my heart, for changing my job, for not changing me at my core, for not changing my soul, for not changing the idea that I want so much more, for changing my brokenness, for making me whole, for waiting to see what else is in store, for this foundation of mine, for permission to live lit, for every time you started, for every time you thought you would quit, for the teacher who told me I never would do, for all those times he promised, baby girl, I got you. For the days I'm alone or walking through a crowd, for the moments when I'm still and find myself feeling proud, for this intense love affair we all seem to have with wearing black, for the elegance I feel when I see a crispy white, for the complexity and confidence required to be rainbow or right. For the disappointment when learning there ain't no pot of gold, for everything I get to see, for all I get to say, for every person who gets to listen, for all that I get to hear, for everything that I get to do, for the music, for the ministry, for the world, for the undeserved, for the misunderstood, for those who've grown tired, for those who need to be encouraged and inspired, for artists that we keep pushing to just keep on trying, for plans, for passion, for purpose, for possibility, for a vision that sees farther than my sight, for the belief that they will once return again tonight, for humble beginnings, for longevity, for the ladder I get to climb that was built just for me, for no matter where I am, where I begin and end each day, for no matter how far I've gone, for no matter how far or long I've stayed, for being who I am, for no apologies, for you, for me, for the industry, for Music City, for we, for we, for we, for we, for you, for me.
Amazing. City Winery, you guys feel that? If that doesn't stir something within you, you definitely want to lift home because you are too numb to operate heavy machinery. Powerful stuff right there. Wow. All right, it's been an amazing night. We've got a couple more speakers for you, and I can tell you guys are rapt attention and ready for it. Our next one, actually, she went to college to be a doctor. And it wasn't even just a regular doctor, it was like a fancy specialty doctor. The name of it I forgot. But she told her parents, she's like, I'm gonna take a year off of medical school to start a record label. And it worked. It's pretty crazy. I was Googling her earlier today, and one of the first headlines I saw was the creative genius behind India Ari. That's who is speaking next. So, unbelievable. Her mom's a dancer, her dad was a drummer, and if this gets a little emotional and I come out all weepy, it's because I'm in charge of cutting the onions at City Winery. It's a part-time gig and it pays really well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Anasa Troutman.
Seriously, I'm really grateful to be here. My name is Anasa Troutman, like you said. I am a writer and a cultural strategist and a producer, and I live here in Nashville. I have a company called Elevate, where I do all my things. But I'm supposed to be telling you a story about me, but I really can't tell you a story about me until I tell you a story about my family. And my family is the most important thing to me. This is Georgiana in Armstead, Branford. This picture was taken in 1884 in Virginia, where they lived as slaves. Georgiana and Armstead were owned by Armstead's dad. And I don't know a lot about them, but they're the first people in my family that left something behind for me so that I could tell their story. And not only did they leave their picture, but they left their land, because by the time they died, they owned the land that they were forced to work all their lives. Georgiana and Armstead, they had a daughter. Her name was Maria Louisa, who had a daughter named Susan Jane, who had a daughter named Edna Louise, who had a son who was my dad. That is, I love my dad. Oh my God, he's so awesome. So my dad, great-great-grandson of Georgiana and Armstead, is a fourth-generation Bronx kid. He's like super New York, super New York. My mother, on the other hand, is like super not New York. My mother was born in rural South Carolina. My mom used to pick cotton when she was a kid. So her and her family would go out to the road, and the truck would pick them up, and they would go to the field and work all day, and they would pick them up and take them home, and that's how she lived her life, her whole life. And then when she was 16, her mom had a big idea, and they all moved to New York City, which I find odd. My mother got to New York and talked like she was from South Carolina. And she listened to the radio all summer and decided to talk like she was from New York. And then she met my dad, and a few years later, this happened, and I was born into this family. So my family was more than just my mom and dad and the people who lived in New York. My family was really all of my mom and dad's friends. So when they were in college, they had all these friends for whom art and politics and spirituality and liberation were all the same conversation. So growing up, my family and their friends were scientists or teachers or social workers or whatever. My mom is a lawyer, my father's a doctor during the day, but at night, and on the weekends we were with our community, they were drummers and singers and storytellers and poets, and that's how I grew up. Thinking that God and politics and art and all that was all one conversation. And so for me and my sister, that's my sister and her family. She just doesn't mean anything to the story, but I could not put her up there because I love her so much. So for us, we grew up in this environment where it was like, okay, stories are important. Music is important, art is important. If you believe in love, if you believe in freedom, if you believe in anything, then you gotta believe in art. That's just how we were raised. My first foray as a storyteller happened in kindergarten. So I was graduating kindergarten. So like the thing you should know about me is I was really shy as a kid. So I would never talk to anybody. I would like hide behind stuff and eat my dinner under the table and hide behind the couch. So I never talked to anybody. But what I did was I knew how to work the record player. and Stevie Wonder became my best friend. And so I got asked to speak at, and like he said, I was legit about to be an orthopedic pediatric surgeon, like legit. And the first summer there, I was like, I don't really want to go home. I want to stick around Atlanta and hang out and see what happens. And I got a job at Tower Records. Now, if you know anything about Tower Records, they don't have them anymore, but Tower Records was the place where all the musicians hung out. It was like, that if you love music, you bought your music at Tower Records. And so something happened, like 3 things happened at Tower that changed my life. The first one was I had to learn how to talk to people, because remember, I was super shy. So I had to talk to people all day and sell them records, so I had to learn how to talk to people. The second thing that happened to change my life was I learned how to flirt, which is a very useful skill that I still use today. The third thing that happened to me was my secret, private love for music became a community conversation. Because I talked to people about music every day. I met musicians every day, and the musicians that I met became my friends, and they became my family. And something activated in me, and I started to feel like, oh, this is what it felt like when I was growing up. All these people who are now my friends reminded me of all my parents' friends. And I started to long for that sense of community and that sense of organization that I had growing up. And so I went to all my musician friends and I said, I feel like we can change the world. I think love is important. I think that the music that you do embodies love, and I think that we should start an artist collective and go out there and change the world. And they were like, that's real cute. We want to be famous. So if you can figure out how to make us famous, we'll join your little arts collective. And so when I was 23, I started a record label called Earthseed Music. Do anybody here know about Octavia Butler? So Octavia Butler is my absolute favorite writer on the planet Earth, and she has a book called Parable of the Sower, and in that book, there's a community called Earthseed. And if you know the main character, Lauren, like in my mind, I was Lauren. And so for me and my friends were Earthseed, and we started this record label. And there's a lot more to say about that. I have like a 2-hour thing about being in the music industry at 23, when you're shy and you're altruistic and you're all those things that I was. That was a story. Anyway, NDRE was one of the groups that I started my label with. And it worked. And aside from her becoming famous and being nominated for 7 Grammys and going on tour with Shanae and all that, we were at a show one day after the song video came out, and this woman ran up to me and she said, with tears in her eyes, I just want to thank you. I'm gonna cry, oh my God. She said, I want to thank you because my daughter looks at herself differently now. My daughter is proud of herself. My daughter loves her skin. My daughter loves her hair, and I want you to please tell India I said thank you. And in that moment, I knew that my parents were right. I knew that music and art could heal and could save and could create love and could create community and create liberation for anybody out there who wanted it. So I really spent the rest of my life pursuing that feeling of what it feels like to take a song, to take a story, to take a TV show, to take a piece of art and turn it into love, and turn it into love in a way that's just not for me, but that liberates everyone around me. So I've spent my whole career creating, in addition to working with India and other artists, I've created a lot of brands. I created Elevate, which is my production company. It's spelled like that because love's in the center of everything we do. I've created something called She Electricity, which is a training program for girls to teach them innovation through arts and technology. I've created She Stories, which is a storytelling platform for women. And I've created this new thing, which is like, I wasn't sure I was gonna say it because I haven't talked about it in public yet. It's actually the reason I moved to Nashville a few years ago. I came here because I wanted to create something, because I've done all this work and I have done so much personal growth, and I really wanted to know, like, what would the one thing be if I could only do one thing for the rest of my life? And I decided to start a new firm. And the firm is called Culture Shift Creative. And it's based on all the work I've ever done that connects values to art, to culture, to politics and spirituality, to liberation, so that we can all have a life where art is the thing that sets us free. Art is the thing that connects us together. And the thing that's most important for me to say today is that anybody in here who's an artist, who's a storyteller, who's a writer, I want you to know how much power you have. I want you to know that what you're doing is not just being entertaining. And I'm not saying don't be entertaining, because don't go out there talking about love and be whack. Don't be whack. But I want you to pay as much attention to your intention as you do to your aesthetic. Okay? If you don't listen to anything else I say, intention is as important as your aesthetic, because you have more power than a normal person. Someone who is creative, that can vision something that never existed before, and can come up with something that never happened before, has the power to change the world, because the world that we want to see, I'm assuming you guys want to see what I want to see, the world that we want to see has never existed before. It is up to us as artists to be the ones, to be the guiding light, to be the torch bearers, to be creators of what our future is. And I just want y'all to know that I love you. And don't forget to tell your stories. Everybody's story is important. Everybody, everybody. When I was a kid and I didn't know how to talk to people, I just never could imagine that what I had to say was important. Never, I never could. And now I talk all the time. So don't fall for the lie. Anyway, I want you to be free. That's what I want for me and for everybody else, and that's what your music and your art can do. That's all I have to say. Love you guys.
Keep it going for Anasa Troutman. We were hanging out behind this TV before she went on, and I was like, they're gonna love you. And she's like, it doesn't matter as long as I love myself. And I was like, yeah, points. But it did happen, you did love her, I could tell. So right now, our buddy Tom Truitt. Tom, you're a generous gentleman. You got some stuff to give away? Is that what's going on?
In fact, I do.
Hey.
Sorry about that, folks. I promised at the start of the night some lucky soul was going to walk out of here with 2 $400 tickets to the Music Business Association event. And there's several deserving souls, but unfortunately there's only one, and this handle of this person is called Fab Kiwi 06. Right here in the front row.
You look like a Fab Kiwi 06, yeah.
Now let me tell you something, folks. She's been taking notes. I can see a notebook. Her fingers must be blistered from all the tweeting and Instagram sharing, and she's sitting in the front row. So let that be a lesson to all of us if we're still in school. Well done, young lady. All right, I'm off.
Whoa,
Get back out here.
look at this. Brevity, the essence of wit. You're being hilarious, Tom. All right. How about this? So this is actually our last speaker of the night. It's been an unbelievable time. So you guys notice, like, they haven't built applause breaks into their speeches or anything. You guys can sneak in there with it whenever you like. So this gentleman, an actual unicorn, meaning somebody born and raised in Nashville. We got one? You know how rare that is. He is the president of the Nashville chapter of the Recording Academy. He's got Grammys, he's got doves. I'm sure if he wants to meet Tony and Oscar, he will be able to do that. He also runs a station. He's worked with Nicole C. Mullen, Robert Randolph, Johnny Lang from North Dakota, and India Reed. Now runs a radio station. I work at a radio station, so this should tell you how much I like his station. I won't even tell you the order, but top 2 stations on my presets are Lightning 100 and this, 102.1 The Ville. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Shannon Sanders!
Check. Hey, what's up? Y'all good? Yeah. What's up? There it is. What's up, everybody? All right? Yeah. No. This Music City, you know how we get down. I said, everybody all right? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. You know, it's funny. It's always crazy to look out and see. Like you said, I grew up here, so it's crazy to look out and see people that I'm going to middle school and high school with, and college and everything in between. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for coming and supporting this event. Thank you to Tom and thank you to Hunu for having all of us. It's been an incredible night. So I've just been backstage, just like, wow, it's crazy. Because a friend of mine just sent me a text like, how are you gonna follow it now? So I'm like, I don't know. But here we go. Here we go. Check, check. This one is working too. Okay, so sound man, we're gonna use both these mics, maybe all three. So, just so you know, so keep them all on. All right. What's going on? Let's see one quick. We're gonna get this happening. Okay. We're gonna figure it out. Okay.
I'm done with PowerPoint. I'm going to Keynote.
All right. Behind a minute, we're gonna get this going.
This ain't the first time I've had to do this tonight, Shannon.
Yeah, that's all right. No worries. You gotta do it good. So you gotta feel your faces, you gotta let them get folks in. Uh-oh, really?
You don't want me to sing.
I'm scared now. Really? Which one of you? Really? Huh. Wait a minute. Almost shot that 4 roses, I might do it.
Bartender, bartender.
Wait a minute.
Here we go.
Now that's some pretty slides. Let's see. Okay. Boom. Okay. Thanks, Tom. All right, and we're back. Now listen, y'all can't just sit up here and look at me now. I need interaction. All right? It's got to be a two-way thing. I need a lot of noise coming back. I'm gonna give you a lot of noise going. That's what I'm talking about. All right. And you know what, sound man? Let me get a little bit more on stage, man. I think that's what it is. I need a feeling. I need a little more boom up here. All right. Like he told you, my name is Shannon Sanders, and I'm honored to be here. What I want to talk to you about tonight is something from nothing. What does that mean? Something from nothing. Like everybody here, I've had the opportunity to work with some incredible people. This young lady, and to meet some incredible people. I haven't worked with all of them, but to meet this young lady, and to meet this guy, and to do work with that lady and that other lady who was also our mayor, who's doing a wonderful job. Give it up for her. Now, hearts go out to her. I had the opportunity to work with some incredible people on my journey. And the one thing that all of them have in common is a certain sense of fearlessness. Whether they be artists, whether they be writers, creative people, there's always this sense of fearlessness. They aren't afraid to dream. People that aren't afraid to ask, what if? People that aren't afraid to try. People that aren't afraid to fail. People that have an insatiable desire to create something authentic. A desire to arrange and rearrange words and sounds into new shapes and patterns that have not existed before. A desire to create something that did not exist before that very moment that we were called into together. Much like this one that we're all called into right now. So, recognize this as an authentic moment. So imagine this is nothing, if you will. But we have the opportunity to right now turn this into something. Now I don't know what you see, but I see opportunity. When I see you, I see opportunity. I'm gonna show you how. Now I want you to do me a favor. Now, he told you what I do. I make records, I'm a songwriter, I'm a producer. So at all times, know that I'm producing. Or know that I'm thinking about it, and know that I'm thinking about trying to get an edge, and know that I'm trying to have an advantage, or I'm trying to have something authentic and unique at all times. If I'm awake, that's what's on my mind. So, what I'm about to show you right now, matter of fact, you're gonna help me get something authentic right now. Now, how many producers we got in the building? We got any producers in the building? That's what I'm talking about. Okay, now, producers, I'm gonna do you a favor. Man, I'm gonna throw you a bone right here. Get your phones out, and go to your voice memos, and get ready. Set them up. Here's what we're gonna do. Now these guys, look, do me a favor, close that curtain right there. watch this. We're gonna get something unique in this moment. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. See, the moment always provides the opportunity. Now, this is what I want you to do. I want everybody to snap. Snap your fingers for me right quick, okay? Now, that's amazing. Now, here's what's got to happen. You cannot talk. Okay? We done. That's cool. That's cool. That's good. That's good. Right. Feel like a Love Jones set or something. You know? Listen. So, when we snap, you cannot talk, okay? So, this room just became the studio. For the next 90 seconds or so, this just became the studio. See this? Now, what I'm going to do is 1, 2, ready, go, snap. Then you got to hush, or you're going to mess up my sample. Okay? So don't say nothing on the front, don't say nothing on the back. You're going to get 3 things. We're going to get a few snaps, we're going to get a few claps, and we're going to get some haze. Okay? And they're going to be amazing. That's it, but don't say nothing until after we get. I'm talking about, don't think in the back you whispering, don't nobody hear you. Try not to sneeze, try not to nothing. Okay? All right, here we go. We ready? We ready? Come on, I told y'all I need some noise, and I'm the last one. Get loud. Come on. All right, all right. All right, here we go. All right, get ready to snap. I mean, make them loud. Don't say nothing after you snap. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, hey. Tell them, hey. Shh. Here we go. Right. Bleed is bleeding in the mic. Here we go. 1, same thing. 1, 2, ready, go. Again, 1, 2, ready, go. Okay, awesome. Give me claps now. 1, 2, ready, go. Man, pretty good. 1, 2, ready, go. Now she's go. Hey! I'm talking loud. Okay, don't hold back. Don't no soft haze, because the intensity is what's important that we need to get on tape. Okay? Hey! That's what I need on tape from everybody. 1, 2, ready, go. Hey! Oh yeah. Give me another one. 1, loud. 2, ready, go. Hey! That's what I'm talking about. Awesome. All right. You says a round of hand. I mean, a round of applause. Round of hand. Round of applause. So for some of you, that was your first studio session. Now, understand. Pardon me for referring to my notes. I need these. We just created something that nobody else in the world has. Now, people have claps, people have finger snaps, people have haze. It's not about that. Nobody has those snaps. And if we tried to do this tomorrow, it wouldn't be the same, because it wouldn't be the same group of people. We created something unique to this moment. So that's what we all have the opportunity to do at all times, is to create something unique to the moment. Every moment we're in is special. Every moment we're in is unique. All we have to do is be present. All we have to do is be conscious, and all we have to do is capture the moment. The moment provided the opportunity. I cannot let this moment pass and see all these people and not see opportunity and not think, wow, what would those snaps sound like? Everybody got these snaps. Who else is gonna get this many people together and snap? Like, you know what this would cost in the studio with that, that'd be crazy. Right, I don't even want to tell you, it'd be crazy. That being said, the moment always provides authenticity. All we have to do is be prepared as creative people, is to catch the moment. So, a few months ago, I had one of those opportunities. I had an opportunity to create something brand new. I had an idea and I had an opportunity. I met a guy that owns radio stations across the country. We went to a leadership music class together. And just talking, you know, we just got cool and we just talking. And he was just saying how, man, I got this station and it's not doing so well. I don't know what to do. And he asked me what I thought. And my thing is always tell the truth to people that can make a change. Tell the truth to people that can make a difference. If that's your opportunity to make a difference, to make something, to make an impact, then tell them the truth. If they ask you for the truth, tell them the truth. So I told him, man, the truth. He asked me what I thought he should do. I said, then you ought to kill it, man. It's not impactful. You're saying that people aren't responding the way that you would want them to respond. You're not making money on it. You kill it. He said, what would you do? I said, man, I know what we need in the city. We need an authentic R&B station that plays classic soul, neo soul, and watch the local soul. What about I just hit on the bar backstage for a record, like give me that record, and he gave me a drop, and you're gonna hear it on the radio tomorrow. Come on. So that was how we came about. Get into it. I think this thing just tripped out on me again. We ain't even gonna worry about it. That's how 102.1 The Ville was born. All we did was just, thank you. All we did was just seize the moment. Something into nothing. A frequency, a station that he thought was nothing, we turned into something. Simply because we were fearless. Simply because we took a chance on what it was that we felt. That's what we all have an opportunity to do at all times. No matter what it is you do, whether you're creative or not, whatever it is that you do. You can be an electrician, you can be an accountant, no matter what it is you do, be authentic in the moment. The moment provides the opportunity for you to do something special at all times. Next time you get in the studio as creatives, be conscious. Writer's block, tell folks, man, it's a damn lie. If you got writer's block, that's because you're trying to talk about something you don't know about. Come on. Come on. You trying to lie. All you have to do is be authentic in your moment. Why can't you write today? Because I don't feel, man, I'm depressed. Then there you go. That's what's authentic to you in this moment. Guess what? You're not the only one. So you're gonna write something today that's coming from your soul that's authentic in this moment. The universe is calling you into this moment, calling you to write that in this moment, because not just you, somebody else needs to hear that. So that's what that's about. Be authentic in the moment, and you never have a block. There's never a shortage. There'll never be lack. It'll always be available to you. Your creativity will always be available to you. Opportunity will always be available to you if you're available to it. And all it's asking for you to do is to be authentic in the moment. And in that way, you can always turn your nothing into your something. I think that's just about my time. My name is Shannon Sanders. Thank you for having me.
Producer. I feel like if I walked into the control room and Shannon was like, Adam, I think you got a better take than you, I would say, yeah, I got a better take than me. Yeah, for sure I do. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Tom Truitt. Throws his whole party.
Hey, how about Adam Culver from Radio Lincoln? Can you hear me? Ben, is this on? No. Yep. I've had technical troubles all night, as you can tell. Anyway, I want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank our sponsors, for without their contributions financially and otherwise, this wouldn't happen.